Call this meeting of the Brooklyn City Council to order. Mary Jo is absent this evening, so I want to thank Don for pinch hitting for us this evening.
Thank you.
Call the roll, please.
All right. Tony DeMarco.
He is absent, excused.
Deb Tomoscu.
Here.
Kathy Pucci. Here. Mary Balbier.
Absent, excused.
Kevin Tansky.
Here.
Barb Polinsky.
Here.
Ron Vinkirk.
Here. Would you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
To start off this evening's meeting, we do have a couple of resolutions that we would like council to pass this evening, and so I will read those at this time. The first one is Resolution 2017-15 to honor and recognize Anthony DeMarco for his service to the City of Brooklyn, Ohio. Whereas Brooklyn City Council takes pride in recognizing outstanding citizens and public servants in our community who have contributed to the benefit of the City of Brooklyn. And whereas Anthony DeMarco was first appointed to Brooklyn City Council in August of 2009 and then elected to 2 terms totaling 8 years on council, serving through 2017. And whereas through his tenure as councilman, Councilman DeMarco served as council president in 2012 and in other years on the Public Works, Finance, and Public Safety and Environmental Committees, a representative of the Planning and Economic Development Committees, and as council liaison to the Brooklyn School Board, the Fair Housing Committee, and the Volunteer Firefighters Dependents Board. And whereas Councilman DeMarco utilized his business degrees and experience in banking and finance to advocate for stronger economic development and fiscal concerns, while being vocal on services for residents, strong budgets, cost-saving measures, and the checks and balances of the council, mayor, governance. And now therefore be it resolved by this council of the City of Brooklyn, County of Cuyahoga, and State of Ohio, the administration of the City of Brooklyn, the Brooklyn City Council, on behalf of the entire community, do hereby recognize and honor Anthony DeMarco and congratulate and thank him for his outstanding and dedicated service to the City of Brooklyn, and further wish him well in his future endeavors. That it is found and determined that all formal actions of the Council of the City of Brooklyn concerning and relating to the adoption of this resolution were adopted in an open meeting of such body, and that all deliberations of the Council of the City of Brooklyn and any of its committees that resulted in such formal action were in meetings open to the public in compliance with all legal requirements, including Section 121.22 of the Ohio Revised Code. That this resolution shall take effect and be enforced immediately upon its passage and approval by the mayor. Otherwise, it shall take effect and be enforced from and after the earliest period allowed by law. Need a motion to introduce?
Introduce by all, suspend the rules.
Second.
To suspend the rules, Debbie Tomoscu.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Barb Polinsky.
Yes.
Ron Vinkirk.
Yes.
Thank you. To adopt, Deb Tomoscu.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Barb Polinsky.
Yes.
Ron Vinkirk.
Yes.
Thank you.
The second resolution is Resolution 2017-16 to honor and recognize Deborah Tomoscu for her service to the City of Brooklyn, Ohio. Whereas Brooklyn City Council takes pride in recognizing outstanding citizens and public servants in our community who have contributed to the benefit of the City of Brooklyn. And whereas Deborah Tomoscu was appointed to the Brooklyn City Council mid-January 2016 and served through 2017 after previously serving on the city's Economic Development Committee and Marketing and Steering Committee for focus groups. And whereas through her time on council, Councilwoman Tomoscu served on the Finance and Public Safety and Environmental Committees. And whereas Councilwoman Tomoscu represented the citizens of Brooklyn and took on issues that she believed in. And whereas Deborah Tomoscu, utilizing her engineering and business degrees and experience with various corporations and in consulting to address her concerns for active economic development, budgeting, and fiscal matters. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of Brooklyn, County of Cuyahoga, and State of Ohio, the administration of the City of Brooklyn and the Brooklyn City Council on behalf of the entire community do hereby recognize and honor Deborah Tomoscu and congratulate and thank her for her service to the City of Brooklyn, and further wish her well in her future endeavors. That it is found and determined that all formal actions of the Council of the City of Brooklyn concerning and relating to the adoption of this resolution were adopted in an open meeting of such body, and that all deliberations of the Council of the City of Brooklyn and any of its committees that resulted in such formal action were in meetings open to the public in compliance with all legal requirements, including Section 121.22 of the Ohio Revised Code. That this resolution shall take effect and be enforced immediately upon its passage and approval by the mayor. Otherwise, it shall take effect and be enforced from and after the earliest period allowed by law.
Introduce by all, suspend the rules.
Second.
Motion to suspend the rules, Debbie Tomoscu.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky,
Yes.
Barb Polinsky,
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk.
Yes.
To adopt, Debbie Tomusko,
I'm going to abstain. It seems kind of bizarre.
Kathy Pucci,
Yes.
Kevin Tansky,
Yes.
Barb Polinsky,
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk.
Yes. All right. Both are adopted. Congratulations, Ms. Tomusko, and thank you for your service.
Thank you.
At this time, we will have the public session. If anyone in the audience has anything to say for the good and welfare of the city of Brooklyn, please step forward, state your name and address, and you'll be recognized. Please remember to keep your comments to 5 minutes or fewer.
There's nothing like making a grand entry, huh?
Oh, you're fine.
I'm kind of thrown off guard. Number one, my name is Paula Ritter, 8974 Boxwood Circle, Brooklyn, Ohio. Good evening. What a class act. Congratulations to the council members for the beautiful proclamations you gave both members of council leaving. I thank both Tony DeMarco and Debbie Tomusko for their service. Mainly, I want to say Christmas is the time of memories and Thanksgiving. So I want to thank the mayor, her administrative staff, the directors, the chiefs, all those people, council. But I always feel a need to thank the unseen people who serve all of us as residents. Those are the secretaries, the clerks, the volunteers at the senior center, the people who are unseen, but without them, I don't think the city would work. And at this time of year, I want to thank our service department particularly, because while they're breaking their back, in the Christmas spirit, we all get nasty and they're never going to do it right for us. I thank them. I'm here tonight, both Christmas is time of memories and Thanksgiving. One of my memories, and it's not to downplay Tony, I just do not recall when he was appointed. But I recall a little more than 2 years ago when council appointed Debbie. I thank you so much. Your proclamation said it all. She brought to us, as I'm sure Tony did, a lot of expertise and a background, as they both did, a selfless desire to serve. I'm very thankful for them. Then I have a memory of 20 years ago when a young, handsome man walked up from the audience and gave me flowers when I left council. By the way, I'm old now, never as good as you young guys. You're much improved versions. I don't think I ever thanked him properly. That young man's name was Joe Magri. But I never forgot the thoughtfulness, the kindness. So I guess I just want to hand easy flowers. It's called a poinsettia.
Oh,
Pretty easy at Christmas
my
time.
God, Paula, thank you. Oh, my God.
I want to thank you for your service. Tony, if you were here, I'd give you something early too. But you're not. We fail to thank each of you who serve. We fail to forget how fortunate we are to live in Brooklyn. We fail to acknowledge that although you have your differences, we better be smart enough to know that each one of you that try are there because you love the community and because each of you mean well. You might come from different directions, but I truly respect and thank you for your service. When I thought back to Joe Magri, I could go back too many years, so you don't want to hear that. But I had meant to begin with, I wish all of us a blessed Christmas and a holy and happy and healthy New Year. But I wanted to end with a statement from two other people I respect that are often forgotten, the Fry family. what dignity they brought to council, what great men Gregory and John Fry were. And I have not buried Gregory. Greg, you're alive and well. But I always say, God bless us all. But they said, God bless us, everyone. I think they got that from Tiny Tim from A Christmas Carol. So I say the same to each of us. God bless us, everyone, and thank you for the work you do. Thanks for the time you gave me.
Thanks for the flower. Thank you, the time work.
They did it better than I would in that proclamation. Pretty good proclamation.
Good evening, everyone. Victor Ardito, 7439 Outlook Avenue. Just like to remind everybody regarding the schools, that passing the levy. Years ago, the city voted down building a brand new, complete new complex, which would have been great, but that's done and over. So they did the next best thing, which is great. But remember, the old school, the high school, is probably, I'm guessing, from the 60s. So it does need the work. We have to keep our city going. So, think about it when it comes down next time. It can help the city and keep it strong. And then just a thing is totally off the bat, but many years ago, they started with the metric system. And when the age I was, I didn't like it, but it made sense, made very much sense. And years later, I ended up with a ruler doing woodworking. It had the inches on the one side and the metric on the other. And you start doing woodworking, it's amazing how easy it is to use the metric system. And misfortunately, our politicians somehow decided we're not going with the metric system, even though the rest of the world is. I hope one day that we do go with the metric system, because anyone that is familiar with it knows how nice it flows. Thank you, and Merry Christmas, everyone.
Thanks, Mr. Ito.
Hello, I'm Diana Gavras. I live at 6501 Southfield Avenue, and I am a student of Mr. Ron Van Kirk. I have a question. How does the City of Brooklyn plan to make up for the loss of money as a result of American Greetings leaving with a large portion of the city's income? Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. She was very nervous about coming up here. But thank you for coming up. We'll answer your question whenever we give our report shortly. All right, does anyone else have anything else to say for the good and welfare of the City of Brooklyn?
Excuse me, Ron? Sure. Regarding the, helping out the city, the money...
Mr. Ito, if you can come on back up and just speak so the camera can hear your question as well. Thank you.
Regarding American Greetings, which is a good point, when you talk about it, you said the one company come in and they're bringing in $3 million payroll. I think somebody should add to that when they say it's bringing in a $3 million payroll, that all they're going to see of it maybe is $100,000. I think some people understand that, wow, $3 million is back, and it's not.
Sure.
So when you do break that down, please let the people know what's coming back, and it's not $3 million.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, does anyone else have anything to say for the good and welfare of the City of Brooklyn? Okay, very good. We'll now move on with the reports of committees, commissions, and boards. And unless I'm mistaken, the only one we have is finance. Does anyone else on the committee, commission, or board have a report that I missed?
I have safety, but I was just going to give it...
Okay, go ahead. Oh, as your report?
Yes.
Okay, all right, very good. All right, then the Finance Committee did meet this evening at 6:30, just prior to the council meeting, as we have that standing time. And we discussed several issues, all of which that are going to be voted on tonight were recommended for adoption by the committee. The first four, I'll put them all together. It's Ordinance 2017-81, 82, 83, and 84. And these ordinances all have to do with purchasing different plots of land, all of it on the corner of Memphis and Tiedemann. We've discussed it at length in two of our previous meetings, had some more discussion about it last council meeting. And when you put all of it together, it's an $844,000 expenditure for through these 4 different ordinances. And again, the committee did recommend that council adopt. Then, new on the agenda this evening is ordinance 2017-87. This is authorizing the capital improvement plan for 2018. As you'll recall in our previous meeting, we passed the budget for 2018. These capital items were included in that budget. But this authorizes the go-ahead for the finance department and the administration to start purchasing these items. And that total amount is the same as it was when we passed the budget. It's $2,243,702. And of that, $1,551,778 is for street repair. The rest is for various capital items that the city needs to purchase throughout 2018. This ordinance is on first reading, and we do intend to have it for 2 more readings. So at the end of January, our second meeting, we should be able to pass this ordinance, and then that will allow the administration to begin the process of purchasing these items. And then lastly is ordinance 2017-88. And this is, the administration hopes to pass this by emergency adoption this evening because of the timing issue. This is amending the annual appropriations. This is the second change to the appropriations for 2017. The total impact, there are 13 changes to the general fund totaling an additional $231,000 in expenses. And then there are 11 changes in other funds that actually reduce the expense by $96,400 for a total impact of all funds of $134,600. Now, with this change order and the adjusted RETA tax collection numbers, what was budgeted to be a deficit of $1.5 million in 2017, the budget that was passed for 2017 allowed for a $1.5 million in deficit spend. In actuality, it looks like, barring any unforeseen major expenses over the next 13 days, we will actually see a net gain. And so we'll actually be in the black, which of course is great news for the city of Brooklyn moving forward. And we still have obviously several question marks in replacing the dollars vacated at AG. We've seen a lot of positive movement. And but 2017 ended up being a much better year than anticipated, and so we are grateful for that. And of course, the finance meetings are open to the public. They are at 6:30, just prior to all regularly scheduled council meetings. We'll now move on with reports of council, and we begin this evening with Ms. Tomusko.
First and last. Good evening. As has been pointed out, this is my final council meeting of my term and my tenure as a council person. I've had a lot of people ask me, if I'm going to be disappointed. Am I terribly disappointed that I'm not going to be continuing as a council person? And my comment is, this is just the natural flow of life. I'm a strong believer that doors close and doors open. And I have had an incredibly blessed life filled with multiple experiences, and I was really blessed to have had this opportunity. I've never done public service in this quite capacity. People still laugh at me because I'm always telling people I can't believe how political politics is. And they're always laughing at me about that. But it's been a wonderful experience. It has been a real eye-opening experience. I had a friend, a very bright, dear friend years ago, say to me that the talents and the abilities that you have are your gifts from God. But what you do with those talents and abilities are your gifts back to God. And I've always taken that very seriously and thought about, this is what I've learned in this, now how can I use it? How can I use it next? How can I use it to my next adventure? So that's exactly what I'm doing. This has freed up an incredible amount of time. If you take council positions seriously and do the work and do the job, it takes up a fair amount of time. So I now have a lot of time that's been freed up. So I'm kind of looking to my next adventure. I have a few offers in the pile, so I need to decide what I want to do. But I did want to thank my fellow council people and the mayor. I have truly learned from all of you. I have learned something from each of you. I particularly need to point out Ms. Pusey, because she has been sort of a mentor and very wonderful for me, and we've done some good work, I think, together, doing a lot of research and a lot of effort, so that's been a great experience. I wanted to thank the directors. aren't too many here tonight, but they're actually our link to the citizens. When the citizens call us and they have an issue or a problem, we have to call the directors. Nobody works for us. So we need to call the directors and say, hey, this person has this issue or that issue. So I want to thank them when they followed through so that, we could report back to the citizens that hopefully if we can't get it fixed immediately, at least we have a legitimate answer for them in terms of what's going on. And finally, the citizens of Brooklyn have just been so gracious and so supportive to me. It's great. That's, again, one of the things about Brooklyn being small is you go to church or you go up to Mark's or Rich Park or whatever, and people come up to you, they thank you, they talk to you. It's just a wonderful, small little community that I very much enjoy. I can't sign off tonight without giving special recognition and thanks to Paula Ritter, who took the effort to come up here this evening. I tell you, Paula was a trailblazer for women in Brooklyn politics. Every woman on council and the mayor owe her an incredible debt of gratitude because she was one of the first women on council and in politics in Brooklyn. And it's kind of like what I went through when I went to engineering school and there were 2 women and me in engineering school. You're not always wanted and they don't always welcome you with open arms, but you hang in there and you fight hard and you make a contribution. And when Paula was on council, she deeply cared about the city, and she still does. To this day, she cares a lot about what happens with the city. So I have nothing but gratitude and thanks for the experience, for the opportunity. I think I'm going to go home tonight, pour myself a glass of something, and sit and stare at my Christmas tree. But I wanted to wish everybody a very merry and blessed Christmas, and particularly a happy and healthy New Year. Thank you.
Debbie, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Musco. Next up is Mrs. Pucci.
Thank you. Good evening. I do have a brief report from the Safety Committee. Members of the Safety Committee did tour the Parma Regional Dispatch Center last Wednesday, December 13th, and I'd like to thank Chief Milkey, Sergeant Knapp, and the manager of the Dispatch Center, Wally Samoyenko, who is incidentally originally from Brooklyn. He gave us a tour, answered our questions. There have been some issues, and since he's taken over, we have seen some improvement, but I know that we still have a ways to go. I do believe that he has the perfect background for this position, though, because he was a police officer, and then when he was injured, he became a dispatcher, and he actually worked as a dispatcher for 10 years. And one of the things that really came through was his commitment to doing his best to resolve the issues that we're experiencing. However, there are also some things I think that are beyond his control. Just one example, he would like another dispatch console added, and while his predecessor also advocated for this in the past, in their new position on a regional level, they now don't support this. So I think we can also presume that our costs will increase if we continue with this. I know the chiefs and the mayor are on top of all the documenting and following up to make sure we are making progress on some of the issues, but we're going to have a big decision to make come next year. Regarding your question about the loss of revenue from American Greetings, just briefly, we did prepare for it. We have a budget stabilization fund, and we also have seen some positive movement in filling the space with new companies. We have a long way to go, but if we can continue this progress incrementally, hopefully within the next few years, we will have bridged that gap. We also have reduced our expenses significantly over probably the last 5 years, and I think we're being very judicious and good stewards of the money we do have, and with all our planning on spending the taxpayer money wisely. I just I'm going to make a very brief comment on the purchasing of the properties that is on our agenda this evening. I did have a number of residents who had read about it in the paper contact me about it with questions. And while this is a new step for us, other cities have done this. It's not an uncommon thing. And basically the reason I'm supporting it is because right now these properties are not producing any revenue for us whatsoever. In fact, the last time I checked, one of the property owners was actually delinquent in their property taxes. So this is going to be an opportunity for us to assemble these parcels. Hopefully a developer will then want to purchase them. And I do think it's worth the risk for the possibility that we can repurpose these parcels into parcels that produce revenue for us on an ongoing basis. The advantages to us doing it this way, the main two advantages are, first, we're going to have control because any plan that a developer would come in with, because we're the owner, we're going to have control over that. And secondly, we're also going to be able to control the timeline. So for example, we wouldn't let it go, yes, we're going to sell it to you and this is what you're going to develop it into, but then, we're going to end up 5-10 years down the road with nothing happening. So we can actually put a sunset on it. So those are the main two advantages, and those are the reasons why I'm supporting it. I would just like to briefly thank my two colleagues who are leaving. Mr. DeMarco, I'd like to thank him for our service to our community. We didn't always have the same views or same opinions. However, he did always put the residents first, and I sincerely thank him for his service. And with Ms. Tomasco, we actually first began working together when our former Economic Development Director, Fran Migliorino, recommended her for a position on the Economic Development Committee. Fran was aware of Debbie's background and experience through work they had done in economic development on a regional level. And as I got to know Debbie better, I was impressed not only by her intelligence and experience, but also her passion for the city. She could have lived anywhere, and she chose to come back to her hometown. And I appreciate your dedication and service to our community. And I'd like to thank Mrs. Ritter. As I hope she knows, I have a tremendous amount of respect and admiration for her and her service, and I echo everything that Ms. Tomasco said. And another thing is you can always count on Mrs. Ritter to do the right and appropriate thing, and I appreciate that. And you mentioned past council members, and I really consider myself honored and privileged to have served with some of the great and dedicated people who served our community. And I would add Rita Brown and Tom Coyne to that list also. And finally, I'd like to wish our directors, chiefs, department heads, all of our employees, their families, and residents a very happy and blessed Christmas. And also, we won't be back here until after the new year. So also a very happy, healthy, and prosperous new year. And that completes my report. Thank you.
Thank you.
Debbie, thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Pucci. Next up is Mr. Tansky.
Thank you. I would like to offer my sincere condolences to the Sternick family on the loss of their sister. Russ Sternick is not only a longtime resident of Brooklyn and employee at the rec center, but he is also one of my dearest and closest friends. And I am so very sorry for his loss. I also would like to thank Debbie Tomasco on her services to the city of Brooklyn. And I want to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Tansky. Next up is Mrs. Polinsky.
Thank you, Mr. Van Kirk. I would like to thank Mr. DeMarco also for his services. I didn't know him long or well. I wish him in his new endeavor and his new city all luck in the world. And I'd also like to thank Debbie Tomasco for her service, and I'd like to mention something that wasn't in the proclamation. I'd like to thank Debbie for introducing a long overdue ordinance that allows dogs in Veterans Memorial Park. Parma, Lakewood had that privilege, we never did. And because of her efforts, we were able to do that. And I think the park is probably safer with more residents walking their dogs, so I thank you very much. The concert at the Baptist Church was very inspiring. The singers and musicians were fantastic. I hope some of you were able to attend. Christ's peace at this Christmas season And a blessed and happy new year to our directors, our chiefs, and all employees who give their best for this city. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Splitsky. As Ms. Splitsky just mentioned, I do want to thank the residents who were able to attend the Christmas in Brooklyn this year. It was usually held at our senior center, but due to the scheduling conflict with the school's concert, we actually had to move that to our church. But from every indication, the program was a success, and so it's very much a privilege to be able to not only live in the city of Brooklyn, but also to work in the city of Brooklyn, to worship here, and of course to serve on city council. There's not many people that are able to do all of that in their home city, and I have the privilege of doing that, so I'm very thankful for that and thank the residents who attended. 2017 certainly has been an interesting year. However, despite our differences, the city has moved forward, and in my opinion is better off now than it was at the start of the year. 2018 brings it with it great promise and opportunity, and I look forward to working with my fellow council members and the administration in the year to come. Not to sound redundant, but I do also want to thank Ms. Tomusko and Mr. DeMarco on their service to their community, and I wish them all the best in their future endeavors. Also, Ms. Paula, thank you for coming up here. You're always an inspiration when you come up here and put a smile on our faces, and so thank you very much for that and for your past service to our city.
Thank you, guys. I'm afraid I'm dead. I'm sure I'm alive.
Mr.
Thank you all very
Ardito,
much.
I will echo your concerns about the school levy as well. Obviously, something has to be done about that roof, and so hopefully the funds will be able to be raised to be able to replace that. And then also note taken when it comes to the payroll. I do understand where you're coming from, and we'll certainly make sure those numbers are broken down when we actually have some concrete information to give to the residents. And also, Diana, thank you for coming up here despite the fact that you were scared. Diana is my student in my government class at Heritage Christian School. She's a great student, and I'm not just saying that because she's here. She really is. And thank you, Ms. Pucci, for answering her question, and she answered it very well. On behalf of my wife, Christina, and our 3-year-old son, Tanner, I want to wish all the residents a very blessed Christmas and, of course, a Happy New Year as well. And with that, we'll move on to the mayor's report.
Thank you, Mr. Van Kirk. Thank you, Diana, for coming up. I know it's very nerve-wracking when you're not used to coming up and speaking in front of a bunch of people. I think Mrs. Pucci covered it. I mean, we've made a lot of movement, and as Mr. Ardito had mentioned, American Greetings made over $200 million in payroll in this city. And the city gets 2.5% of that portion. So it's only a small portion that we've looked at retaining and getting back at this point. Right now we're looking at a Medical Mutual coming in 2020, but that's a ways off. So far we've had National Safety Apparel, HKM, HMI, and Inogen move into that. But it's 1.4 million square feet of space. And if MML comes in, that's only 300,000 square feet. So we've only covered a quarter of the space to fill that, and not even a quarter to make up the past revenue. But we are on our way. It will take some time. One of the hiccups really was when IRG purchased that property from American Greetings. There was a portion in the purchase agreement that basically said that IRG wasn't allowed to move any companies in there until American Greetings moved out. And since American Greetings didn't move out until September of last year, we were really kind of in the middle of not being able to talk to businesses to have movement earlier on. As Mrs. Pucci said, there was a reserve fund to kind of close the gap on that if we needed it, and thankfully we didn't. We've been very good stewards of money here. We have seen a little movement on some of the hours. We have impacted residents very little here, which is really goes to show the hard work of the City Council and the administration trying to make best efforts moving forward with the situation that we had in front of us. So thank you again for coming up here. I want to wish Debbie Tomusko good luck in your adventures, and thank you for your public service to the city. And I wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Great. Thank you, Mayor. We'll now move on with reports of directors. We have just one this evening, and that is our Finance Director, Mr. Schaefer.
Good evening. Thank you. I want to thank members of council for passing the 2018 permanent appropriations last Monday night, and that puts us about 3 months ahead of schedule instead of passing 2018 permanent appropriations in March of 2018. Sorry. I really appreciate your efforts to eliminate the practice of passing temporary appropriations, and That leads me into ordinance 2017-87, requesting the 2018 capital items be passed as a package. What we're trying to be able to do is, instead of having individual pieces of legislation go to capital or go to council for approval, we're trying to consolidate that process and streamline it so the departments would be able to present and go forward with those items. And please let me know if you have any questions about that. But if any of those items listed on the capital items exceeds the purchase price that is on there, we would then be coming to council for individual approval of that item, as well as if there are items that are not on that capital list. Though that would be an example of something we would bring to council for individual approval. I failed to mention this at the Finance Committee meeting. The 2016 financial health indicators were released by the Auditor of State's office last Tuesday, the 12th of December, and the city received only 2 yellow or cautionary indicators out of 17. And that, if you look at the comparison to many of the surrounding cities, especially here in Cuyahoga County, that is a very positive outlook, although it is one more yellow indicator. In 2015, we were 16 out of 17 positive indicators, and this year we are 15 out of 17. I've been back and forth. I worked at the Auditor of State's office. I know who puts these together, and I was back and forth as far as the critical number 6 in your packet. What that means is the city received a yellow cautionary outlook indicator because the general fund property tax revenues decreased by more than 1% from 15 to 16. And that is a very slim margin. As far as a 1% decrease automatically gives you a cautionary indicator. And I've spoken to some of the other finance directors, and I'll provide council with the heat map. We are not alone in the cities in Ohio that have had a 1% decrease from 15 to 16 in general fund property tax revenue. And how that is calculated is also a little bit different, and I can provide the references within the capital, within the CAFR, as far as why we have dedicated property tax revenue, the sources and where we allocate those funds, because we put a little bit more money in debt service, that automatically flag that as an indicator. So I can go into much more on that. I sent that out, and if you have any questions on that, please let me know. I am asking tonight that the change number 2 to the 2017 permanent appropriations be passed by emergency, and Mr. Van Kirk gave an overview of that and the impact on the general fund and all other funds. And what I wanted to be able to point out, that what I am requesting for change number 2, the final change, is under $16 million for 2017. And last year at this time, I was asking council to appropriate $17,765,000. So I want to thank you for your efforts. Obviously, we've been able to do a lot to address the expenditures on the general fund departments between 16 and 17, and I envision a very similar process for 18 and beyond, and getting it started early as far as meeting with you in May and June to get the budget process rolling and talk about where we are in 2018. And that completes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Schaefer. One thing I failed to mention before we move on to legislation was a message that I was asked to read. It says, come see Brooklyn's own Brandon Tansky, and this is Mr. Tansky's son. He'll be playing with the School of Rock on Saturday, January 13th at 11 a.m. and Sunday, January 21st at 4 p.m. And he will be performing at Slim and Chubby's at 12492 Prospect Road, that's in Strongsville, Ohio, 44149. And he also wants to offer special thanks to his instructors and directors, Tommy Rich, who's the music director of the School of Rock, Jim Wall, the music educator and producer, Tim Madej, is that how you pronounce that? Yeah, Madej. All right, Madej, private music instructor, his private music instructor, and of course, Mr. Sullivan, Sean Sullivan, the music director at Brooklyn City Schools. I've met Kevin Brandon numerous times. He's a great kid. I've also seen several videos from his dad of him playing the drums, and so if you want to go see an up-and-coming drummer, that's Saturday, January 13th at 11, Sunday, January 21st at 4 p.m., and that's at Slim and Chubby's in Strongsville. All right, so we will now move on with our agenda for this evening. We do have 2 requests for this evening, so we'll start with those. The first one is dated December 12, 2017. Dear members of City Council, I'm requesting council confirmation on the reappointment of Meg Ryan Shockey to the City of Brooklyn Planning Commission. Mrs. Shockey's term will begin January 1, 2018 and expire on December 21st, 2023. Thank you, sincerely, Catherine A. Gallagher.
Move to appoint Meg Ryan Shockey to the Planning Commission for the term beginning January 1st, 2018.
Second.
To confirm, Debbie Tomasco?
Yes.
Kathy Pucci?
Yes.
Kevin Tansky?
Yes.
Barb Politzky?
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk?
Yes.
Thank you.
This is also dated December 12, 2017. Dear members of council, I'm requesting council confirmation on the reappointment of Allison Rafter, Ryan Kelber, and Rekha Bendez to the City of Brooklyn Recreation Board. Their terms expire on December 31st, 2017. They will each serve a 3-year term beginning January 1st, 2018. Then thank you sincerely, Catherine A. Gallagher, Mayor.
Move to reappoint Allison Rafter to the City of Brooklyn Recreation Board for the term beginning January 1st, 2018.
Second.
To confirm, Debbie Tomasco?
Yes.
Kathy Pucci?
Yes.
Kevin Tansky?
Yes.
Barb Politzky?
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk?
Yes.
Thank you.
Move to appoint Ryan Kelber to the Recreation Board for the term beginning January 1st, 2018.
Second.
To confirm, Debbie Tomasco?
Yes.
Kathy Pucci?
Yes.
Kevin Tansky?
Yes.
Barb Politzky?
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk?
Yes.
Move to appoint Rebecca Bindis to the City of Brooklyn Recreation Board for the term beginning January 1st, 2018.
Second.
To confirm, Debbie Tomasco?
Yes.
Kathy Pucci?
Yes.
Kevin Tansky?
Yes.
Barb Politzky?
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk?
Yes. Next up is ordinance 2017-81, up for third reading and adoption, authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with the Midwest Congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses for the purchase of certain real property known as 4346 Tiedemann Road. Permanent parcels numbers 432-03-001, 432-003-007, and 432-03-008.
Move to adopt, and just to note that this is for $369,000.
Second.
To adopt, Debbie Tomasco?
Yes.
Kathy Pucci?
Yes.
Kevin Tansky?
Yes.
Barb Politzky?
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk?
Yes. Next up is ordinance 2017-82, authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Eli A. Mina for the purchase of certain real property known as 10139 Memphis Avenue, permanent parcel number 432-03-002.
Move to adopt, and this is for $185,000.
Second.
To adopt, Debbie Tomasco?
Yes.
Kathy Pucci?
Yes.
Kevin Tansky?
Yes.
Barb Politzky?
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk?
Yes. Ordinance 2017-83, authorizing the mayor to enter an agreement with Allison Lowry for the purchase of certain real property known as 4302 Tiedemann Road, permanent parcel number 432-03003.
Move to adopt, and this is for $140,000.
Second.
To adopt, Debbie Tomasco?
Yes.
Kathy Pucci?
Yes.
Kevin Tansky?
Yes.
Barb Politzky?
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk?
Yes. Ordinance 2017-84, authorizing the mayor to enter an agreement with Lottie Taylor Blake for the purchase of certain real property known as 10100 Manila Avenue, permanent parcel number 432-03004, 432-03005, and 432-03006.
Move to adopt, and this is for $150,000.
Second.
To adopt, Debbie Tomasco?
Yes.
Kathy Pucci?
Yes.
Kevin Tansky?
Yes.
Barb Politzky?
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk?
Yes. On second reading this evening is ordinance 2017-86, establishing a non-resident fee for key fob cards for use with the My Senior Center system at the Brooklyn Senior Center. Under new business this evening, on first reading is ordinance 2017-87, authorizing the capital improvement plan for 2018. Up for first reading but hope to pass by adoption this evening is emergency this evening is ordinance 2017-88, and these are the amended annual appropriations that both myself and Mr. Schaefer spoke of earlier.
Introduce by all, suspend the rules.
Second.
To suspend the rules, Debbie Tomusko?
Yes.
Kathy Pucci?
Yes.
Kevin Tansky?
Yes.
Barb Politzky?
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk?
Yes.
To adopt, Debbie Tomusko?
Yes.
Kathy Pucci?
Yes.
Kevin Tansky?
Yes.
Barb Politzky?
Yes.
Ron Van Kirk?
Yes.
Thank you.
That is all we have on our agenda. Does anyone on council, any of the directors of the mayor have anything else they'd like to add? All right, I do want to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas. Please be safe as you're traveling and enjoy time with your friends and family.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
To adjourn, Debbie Tomusko?
Yes.
Kathy Pucci?
Yes.
Kevin Tansky?
Yes.
Barb Politzky?
Yes.
And Ron Van Kirk?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Rose.